الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر حي على الصلاة.
Arise, giving all praise to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher, sustainer of all the balanced universe. We extend the highest of honors to His Holy Divine Prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder, the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. We extend high honors as well to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam. I extend high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam? Islam. I extend high honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you the Moors with compound interests. Islam? Islam. Extending honors to the noble Sheik staff and noble vanguard staff to keep the peace and give the honors to you with the hills and bays, for without you there is no Moorish movement. Islam? Islam. How's everyone in the holy night? Praise Allah. Tonight, I just have a few points I want to hit, and we have something special we're going to do at the end of the demonstration. But, I just want to give a brief report. As the chairman demonstrated, I think you touched on it. This past weekend, some members and sheiks of the Moorish Science of America, Temple 19, visited Philadelphia for what is known as Moorish American Remembrance Day, right? I saw some heads now, so I see some ones maybe familiar with it. Thank you, Sheik.
I see it on there.
Praise Allah. Moorish American Remembrance Day was actually started by a brother named Brother Ronald Hopkins Bey, right? He's the father of our brother Grand Sheik Azim Hopkins Bey. He was the former, he's the past Grand Sheik, he was the former Grand Sheik. And it started as something where, he would just take his family, his wife and his children, and he would take them to, the historical sites showing where the nationality was removed from us, and on October 14, 1774, in Philadelphia. Why Philadelphia? Philadelphia was the former capital of the United States before D.C. Okay? He also took them to Independence Hall. Independence Hall was where the Prophet went and retrieved this flag from, right? And the Prophet was tested, and at first, they brought him a red flag with a 6-pointed star on it. They brought him a red flag with no star on it. Red flag with a 7-pointed star. He said, "Now it's not bring me their flag." The red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. He brought that back. He reclaimed that. But it was something that just started amongst their family. Then people, started asking, can we come? Can we come? Can we come? And it just, it become what it is today. If you saw the pictures on the internet, it's becoming a very big thing. It is my general opinion that all Moorish Americans should try to get out. I've been, wanting to for years, but it just wasn't time. All things happen at the time appointed by Allah. Islam was? Islam. Right? So Allah opened the path for us to be able to go, for me to go this year. Sister Yaya, Sheik just acting Sheik is Yaya, Sheik Nazir, Raphael, Brother Sarim, Sister Lamadia, acting Sheik Lamadia. They all went last year, right? And they came back and they gave me a very favorable reply relative to how everything went on. The thing I want to demonstrate is the fact that there's a falsehood, that's beginning to permeate, Moorish Americans' psyche. And that, falsehood is that we're divided. Right? That falsehood says, oh, well, Moors can't unify, right? That perception exists because, by and large, people don't find themselves at events where there are multitudes of Moorish Americans from different lineages around one another, right? When you see that, I bear witness that when I was there, right, I didn't see any division, right? I bear witness that when I was there, I saw grand bodies of, about 4 different lineages present, right? Different customs, different traditions that were present, and there was no beef, there was no debate about who's right, who's wrong, there was none of that, right? It was all love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam, right? And that exists because we are all under, our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And when we remove the Prophet out of the way and try to take charge of the situation, this is when the confusion comes, right? Because the Prophet was the one that gave us our instructions back. He was the one that gave us our virtues and principles back. The 5-pointed star that's on this represent those principles, right? One thing slavery did, if you remove that green 5-pointed star off of there, all you have is bloodshed and war. Islam, you don't have peace. Islam, all right? So by the Prophet bringing us these principles back, we find ourselves in situations where we can conduct ourselves in the manner of our forefathers. Islam, all right? We were very well received at Temple 11 because we went up on Holy Day and we attended the meeting there because Act 2 said Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. So where else would a Morris American be other than the temple when it's Friday? So we were in town, so we was like, okay, we got to attend the temple. You know, we come in and, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to just sit down and enjoy the meeting for once. Nice try. And we're going to call Sheik Heru Ranesi-El, you know, to the altar. So praise Allah, come up, you know, demonstrating. It was, praise Allah was beautiful because one thing about Temple 11 I give honors for is that there are babies everywhere, right? I was sitting in the chair, you know, listening to one of the sheiks demonstrate, and I felt something crawling by my foot. You know, I'm from Jersey, so you know, I kind of got that, you know, quick. You know what I'm saying? So I looked, and it was a baby. Wow, praise Allah, with a turban on. A baby with a turban on and a crescent pin. Islam, praise Allah for that. You know, and it was just like it was very family oriented and everything, and it was just a phenomenal vibration. You know, and a lot of times, you know, you have to travel, you know, throughout the width and the breadth of our empire to see, you know, the uplifting acts that various different Moorish Americans are doing to remind you, you know, of what this movement is really about. Islam? All right? Y'all all right? Y'all sleepy? Islam?
Islam.
Okay, praise Allah. Yeah, y'all fine, play that. All right? I want to demonstrate something from Moorish literature. Prophet, you know, is the article entitled A Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations. Right? Just a couple paragraphs. It says, the Prophet instructs, he said, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family, bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. Islam? So when you're talking about Negro, Black, Colored, Ethiopian, African American, Latino, you're talking about these marks that were placed upon our people, right? They're not just names, you know? Because people look at that and say, well, what's the harm in a name? What's the harm in calling yourself Black? Islam? Really quick, as a sidebar, Sheik Heru Ranesi-El, his daughter, and may Allah forgive me for forgetting the young sister's name, I think she's around 10 years old, but she has a YouTube channel up, and she just posted a video, 10 years old now, what is your nationality, right? And this young sister's going in. And you know, it made me feel bad as an adult that I went as long as I did without knowing my nationality. Islam? You know, the elders used to have a phrase, you know, it says out of the mouth of babes. Sometimes children can say something that shuts your whole existence down, you know. And this sister, I mean, just very common sense wise, like, how could you call yourself Black? She pulled up a book, it was a geography book or something like that, and had a globe on the front. She said, I see on here Nigeria, I see France, I see Germany, I see whatever. She said, I don't see Black world. She said, I don't see Black land on here. 10 years old. Islam? See, that's the power of, you know, you leading the way. She has a phenomenal example, and, you know, sister, you know, Elisa Hopkins Bey and sister and brother Azim Hopkins Bey as her parents, right? That are leaders in the community, leaders of the Moorish community, and guiding, you know, leading by example. Not just telling the children to do one thing and they do another, but by demonstrating, but by pure example, all right? But back to, you know, what the Prophet's saying. So there's nothing, it's not like these names and principles or, you know, something harmless, right? If we don't get this together, the things that we are seeing in our communities that are taking place, they're only going to worsen, right? And, you know, there's no excuse for us because the remedy was brought to us almost 100 years ago. What's the excuse? The Prophet said, I came to remove all the excuses, right? And, you know, some of the excuses that we use now, it's like, it's funny to me because in the Prophet's day, he had way more excuses and never used them. You see what I'm saying? Like all of us now, you run around with supercomputers in our pocket called phones, right? So we have access to anything information-wise, right? But yet with all that, we're unable to organize on the level that the Prophet did without it. How does that happen in a thinking society? Say again, bro? Ignorance. Well, what type of ignorance is that, though? Expound on that thought. I'll let the Prophet. Oblivious. So why would the people be oblivious with all? So it's an information area, but we're oblivious. How do those two things come together?
Just lack of knowledge of self.
Lack of knowledge of self. All right. But how about this though? How about you got more so-called conscious groups now than ever, but still not as much action. So they claim to know who they are, but why aren't they acting?
Still don't have those degrees.
Okay. Exactly. Exactly, because again, right, it's more than just knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like in other words, you ever see a Chinese person try to prove to anybody that he's Chinese? No. How does he do it? What does he do? He goes into business.
Right.
Put the writing up, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Put the culture up, whatever. But he's in there transacting business as a Chinese man. You know, and it says on their Chinese restaurant. So that's how he proclaims his nationality. Islam, he's not on the street corner debating, 5,000 years ago, such. No, this dynasty.
Yeah, they move. They move.
Islam. See, they make nationality, it's almost a verb, almost. It's not when you look at it in the dictionary. But when why the prophet said proclaim, he put that before it. Proclaim your nationality, because you got to put it in action. It's nothing just possessing. The prophet said, it's not in the possessing of things, but knowing how to use them. Right? He also had another key said, did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name? And the answer is yes, but it cannot be used by those who are slaves to sin. And what it says, sin is clinging to names and principles that do with slavery. That's the Moorish definition of sin. Islam. So we're not talking about a Christian version of what that is.
Put in the actual use.
Period.
Actual, yeah.
Well, I mean, how many by a show of hands know who the prophet of Israel was? Okay. How did the prophet demonstrate? What did the prophet do to show us who he was?
Put in actual.
Give me some examples. What did he do?
He went out to the street.
Okay.
And professing Islam, first one to profess Islam.
Islam, that's a fact.
And he went to the World Conference. This all
Pan American.
on the back. Pan American Conference on the back.
Anyone else? What else did the prophet do? That's it? Nobody else?
He established the Muslim.
Praise Allah. Right? Now, that's a major piece to it. Right? Why is that a major piece? Because you need an institution to remind you of how to function as an American citizen by way of your nationality.
Brought back our nationality.
Islam. Brought the flag back. Gave you your fez back. Gave you your turban back. Gave you your name back. Islam. These are all various different things that he did in terms of showing you who he was. He wasn't, the times that he was on the street corners demonstrating, like when he appeared in Chicago in 1925, was just to wake, Asiatics up, to put it in their face. Come all ye Asiatics, you are not Negroes and blacks, colors, and Ethiopians, come and link yourselves back with the family of the nations. When he's giving that, that rallying cry, he's doing it for the purposes of waking people up to the point of something they've never heard before. Islam, all right? But now here we are, like I said, almost 100 years out, and, we have to get to the point of, catching up with the other nationalities, the other free national groups, right? And, the main thing is business. Praise Allah for the chairman that demonstrated the fact of, various different Moorish Americans who are in this room that are in business. You see what I'm saying? Because the revolution, and I mean that from the term revolution, meaning to change.
Right.
The change that's going to take place will be led by the entrepreneurs. Period. Because they're the only ones with the time and resources enough to lead the charge. Because respect due when you work a job. When you work a job, you're locked into those hours. When you're there, you can't conduct simple business. Not during those hours. Islam. I've had Moorish Americans call me, and they almost call like they're on the plantation about to run off. Islam, man, Sheik. I said, more, why you whispering? Oh, I'm just at my job right now, I can't really talk. Well, why'd you call me? You know what I'm saying? Like for me, and just with all due respect to the honest doubter, I couldn't live like that. Islam? I honestly couldn't say love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and be whispering. Islam? Now, again, we give honors to those that's making an honest dollar, so it's not like we're throwing rocks at those that work jobs, right? But everything is means to end. So what is the end goal? You understand what I'm saying? You guarantee you see a free national, more than what I'm saying by free national. If you see, so let's say example, our brothers and sisters from Africa, right? Let's say West Africa, Senegalese, Gambians, so on and so forth. You see them working a job for somebody, 9 times out of 10, they're taking and they're putting money to the side, right, to invest in the business so they can free themselves from the job. Islam, and they don't find themselves as being slaves to their lifestyle. They live in such a way where, the items don't possess them. It's not the possessing of things, but knowing how to use them. Islam, like an elder told me a long time ago, he's like, it's not wrong having a nice car, but don't get it twisted. A car is only designed to take you to go pick up and drop off money.
Right.
That's what a car is for. So whether you drive in, we used to call a hoopty or a bucket back in the day. Remember the bucket? Y'all remember a bucket?
Right.
I'm telling my age right now. I'm 46 today. So whether you're in the bucket, where's this, that might cut off at the light, smoking and all that. Whether you're in that or whether you're in the Bentley, right? You still going to drop off or pick up money.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? One is in style, the other is not. So you might smell like smoke when you get out, but you can still accomplish the end. You understand what I'm saying? But we have these ideals a lot of times of what success is. Like if I put that down to the floor, how would y'all define success? What is success?
You said what?
What is success? How would you define success?
Happiness.
Say again?
Happiness.
Happiness. Okay, what else? Define that. What is happiness? I don't think we can take that for granted. What is happiness?
Whatever you feel your life, whatever you feel good, your life will feel.
Okay. So anybody else? Well, what is success? What is success?
Wealth.
Well, okay. Anyone else? Success. Peace. That's powerful, right? I heard a definition today. It said success could be viewed as establishing a destination for yourself and working progressively towards that destination, right? Now, along that destination, if you align properly, you could, if you get to the destination, right, you experience peace. If you get to the destination, you may experience wealth. You know what I'm saying? But wealth has various different interpretations too.
Yeah.
Wealth is not just the long bank account. You know what I'm saying? I heard Asiatics all day long today talking about that. What's that? The Powerball? It's up to $1 billion. Were you in any gas stations today at the lottery line? I've been watching the lottery line. Like Asiatics is trying to get that, right? Because they believe that it's going to make a change and cause them happiness, right? Mm-hmm. But again, if you're not happy within yourself, right, or you don't have the principles of liquidity or commerce or economics within yourself, what are you going to do when you get $1 billion? Give it right back. Dave Chappelle did an excellent skit on that. Right. Reparations, remember that? Right. It said 50,000 record labels were started today. Cadillac Escalade has become the #1 vehicle. The dude pulled up with a tractor and trailer of cigarettes. Newports. So why you do that? I never had to buy another pack of cigarettes again. I'm rich. Pulled the horn. But the point is that, if you don't have the principles of nationality, that's not even going to benefit you. Islam? So this is the importance of what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought, so that you would know how to use what was given to you. You know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot of lies told about what our Prophet brought. You know what I'm saying? Causing a lot of misconceptions, and messing up a lot of lives. You know what I mean? So, we owe it to ourselves as members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, sympathizers of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to set forth a good example of what this demonstration is. Right? And we do that by standing on what he brought. Islam, the various different records that he brought.
Islamism.
These are records that we stand on. Islam. Now, not saying that, we can't extend the learning, because it tells us that we can. The Prophet says, he says, the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great Prophet of Ali in America, to appoint and consecrate missionaries of the Prophet, and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America. Right? That's the charge of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Right? Something I want to drive home too. It's something I've always taught, and it's to be, watch how you talk about the various different, Moorish American elders that have preceded us, right? So, because again, we get the history now, and we get up on a high camel judging the elders and how they did what they did, and they shouldn't have did this. If they would have did this, we'd have been in a better position, whatever, all that. But first of all, you got to remember that, praise Allah, man, for them just holding fast and, withstanding all of the external abuses, the infiltration, all the stuff that they withheld, and stood and kept it alive, so we can have this book come down to us intact. Right. Praise Allah for that. I mean, that alone, there's a Brother Raphael, in the, on the floor, there's a white box. It's a postal box. In that box, there's a Ruth the Moabitess book. Hand me that book, there's a picture I want to show you. It's our latest publication, Ruth the Moabitess. You can open it. But in here, we have there's an elder, there's a Moorish American elder, named Grand Sheik H. Graves-El, Helen Graves-El. Grand Sheik Graves-El is 99 years old. She joined the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1934, and she's still a faithful member of the Moorish Science Temple. Islam? I mean, you know, all right. Now, what I'm saying is that the Prophet teaches us to honor your fathers and your mothers, that your days will be long upon the earth land that the great God alive given you. Right? If we don't honor our forefathers, I mean, we should be sitting at her feet asking her how she held fast all the years. You know, 99 years. So what do you think she's seen? Everything. Right? Everything that you could possibly read about, theorize about, philosophize about, she's probably seen it several times over. Islam, you know. I also tell ones to be careful, like, you know, how you talk about them, because those genealogies, those lineages of those forefathers that, you know, that was with the Prophet are still around. I bear witness, and Brother Raphael can bear witness as well. When we were at Moorish American Remembrance Day, we ran into sister. So you have Prophet Noble Drali. His translator's name was Brother C. Kirkman Beth, right? Multi-linguist, stuff like that. His successor, because he took over at one point. His successor was Brother F. Nelson Bay, right? At Moorish American Remembrance Day, we met Brother F. Nelson Bay's granddaughter. She was there. I mean, you know, she came up to the table and was asking, inquiring about the book. So we got to talking about it. She said, "My name is such Nelson Bay." I was like, "Nelson Bay." So see, I'm, you know, Grand Sheik F. Nelson Bay's granddaughter. That's how praise Allah, right? In the book as well, we have this picture here. There's an elder at the bottom with all white hair under his fez, right? That's Grand Sheik Hamid-El. Grand Sheik Hamid-El was of Moorish Temple of Science, and I met his granddaughter, who was like 90-something years old. You know what I'm saying? Moorish American Remembrance Day. These Moors are still around, Islam, and they're looking at us and how we're handling the movement. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you gotta remember, like, they saw, some of these elders was alive, Sister Graves was definitely alive to see when everything like went haywire after the Prophet passed. You know what I'm saying? The power grabs, all that stuff, whatever. She lived through that. Like, her father was the one, she was like 12 at the time, 34. And her father was the one that actually joined the temple, and the whole family joined. You know what I'm saying? So she grew up in that upheaval period when the Moors was trying to figure their way after the Prophet. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that this is a generational movement that we join. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not no, you know, no storefront cult, no, you know, something that we do. This thing is much more ancient than we are, right? To the point that when we spoke to the government officials from the federal government, they know the Prophet. They know who Noble Drali is. They know what he brought, and they know the things that are against what he brought that are becoming popular now. They told us that's what we're after. We're not after y'all. Islam, you know, and yes, I did say we spoke to the federal government. We speak to them. The Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the forerunner, he said never hide from the government. Always let them know who you are, right? Always. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's when you start hiding, you know, that it look like you're doing something wrong. Islam?
You hide from nobody.
Say again, brother?
So you should be hiding from nobody else.
Nobody. You know what I'm saying? You know, and now at the same time, one thing we did learn from you know, the forerunner is the fact that, let me ask the question, how did the forerunner get sold out? Because it was his own people that did him in. How did he get done in? What led up to that? Anybody know?
I say jealousy.
Definitely a fact. What else? What was Marcus Garvey's astrological sign?
Leo.
Leo. Somebody tell me about the traits of Leos.
Always want to shine.
Leo's gonna show you how to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Their planet astrologically is the sun. So you know what I'm saying, right? You know, and our Quran calls the sun the most noble instrument of Allah. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, another aspect of Leo is very braggadocious. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the forerunner had a tendency to always tell what he was about to do. You see what I'm saying? And that's how his enemies were able to arrange against him. Prophet Noble Ali came back and said, because he had a chance to see how the Forerunner was moving and kind of correct the movement, because this is one movement. The UNIA and the More Science of America is the same movement. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to correct. So the Prophet, real quick, the Prophet said, if I tell you I'm going to do a thing, that means it's already done. That's Noble Ali. You understand what I'm saying? Because he saw before him, the Forerunner was always, we're going to go buy ships. And we're going to go, to Africa. And we're going to do this. That gives your enemy a chance to formulate a plan against what you're going to do. You understand what I'm saying? So Prophet Noble Ali was not only a prophet, he was a general. This more was wise.
Right.
Islam, and this is the playbook. You know what I mean? But you got to be taught this. You can't just, people sleep on this because it's a little pamphlet.
Right.
They sleep on it. Oh, it's a little religious book. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
When you said the Forerunner, you was talking about
Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
Let's go to the record. Let's go to.
Now see, this is new. I didn't know Marcus Garvey was more science.
Oh, absolutely. So, and to make it a part of the movement.
So
if you go to
was actually linked with the more science.
Let's go to the record. Let's show you. Chapter 48 for those who have Qurans. Because again, what does UNIA mean? The Universal Negro Improvement Association. Right? He knew that the Negro needed improvement. Check this again.
Chapter
48. It's the last chapter. I say Islam when you're there.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Chapter 48, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. Instruction 1. You there, young brother? Okay. Instruction 1. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days to warn and stir up the nation and to prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to the earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must, those are two master words right there, shall and must, worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be at one with their Father, God Allah. More Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc. That the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa. Now, Paul, let me pause there. Let me pause at that comment. That's what you're supposed to do in comments. People listen to Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings of love. Allah's love, 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 love. And they deem Prophet Noble Drew Ali as a pacifist or a kumbaya type of leader. Let us all get along, and, right? Let me introduce you to our prophet. We'll take it from the top in instruction 6. We as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Does that sound like kumbaya? That was a stand right there that could have got him killed as soon as he published this in 27. Islam wars? Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a strong leader that loved his people and was calling them to come back to their own. Islam? All right? Because we had always suffered from worshiping foreign ideals. You see what I'm saying? All the harm that's ever come to us came from us trying to be someone other than ourselves. Trying to worship in an image that was other than ourselves. And worship is not just, a prayer aspect if you're doing salat or a prayer type of situation or whatever. It's more so of like, what ideals do you claim? Man's God is his ideals. Right? And as man unfolds, so does his God. Or his ideal. Man's God today is not his God tomorrow. Man's ideal today is not his ideal tomorrow. Islam? But then we also have to think that truth doesn't change. Right. So man's unfolding process is him fighting through falsehood, right? Because when you're dealing with truth, the truth today is truth tomorrow. Islam, if I ask you your mother's name, you told me your mother's name, that should be true today and it should be true 10 years from now. If you told me the truth. If you didn't tell me the truth, then I can find out, no, her name is really Islam. All right, moving forward. It says, therefore, again on the strong square type position, it says, therefore we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. Right. Covenant of the great God Allah. It's in quotation marks. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. Instruction 10. Come all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourselves with the families of nations. We honor all true and divine prophets. Islam, Lords? That's noble Raleigh. You see? So we, instruct more is that for Asiatics that, are interested in Prophet Noble Raleigh, is that you can't just go online and Google Noble Raleigh. Because if you Google Noble Raleigh, you're going to get some foreign ideals that's bound with that. And people are going to think that that is true. Islam? So we have to remember that our job, we're charged with clearing up the deceptions. Clearing a path so that those who want to know or come and join this movement can do so in clear conscience. Islam? All the well, they got it. All right? So that's what we want to draw from off of Noble Raleigh. All right? Let us go to chapter 38 in our Quran. All right, so. Excuse me, chapter 28. Holy instructions from the prophet, master, and servant. Instruction 1. Repine not, O man, at the state of servitude, and it is the appointment of Allah, and hath many advantages. It removeth thee from the cares and the solicitudes of life. The word repine means to complain. Complain not. So the honor of a servant is his fidelity. His highest virtues are submission and obedience. Be patient, therefore, under the reproofs of thy master, and when he rebuketh thee, answer not again. The silence of thy resignation shall not be forgotten. Be studious of his interest, be diligent in his affairs, and faithful to the trust which he reposeth in thee. Thy time and thy labor belong unto him. Defraud him not thereof, for he payeth thee for them. And thou who art master, be just to thy servant if thou expectest from him fidelity, and reasonable in thy commands if thou expectest ready obedience. The spirit of a man is in him. Severity and rigor may create fear, but can never command love. Mix kindness with reproof, and reason with authority. So shall thy admonitions take place in his heart, and his duty shall become his pleasure. He shall serve thee faithfully from the motive of gratitude. He shall bathe thee cheerfully from the principle of love. And fail thou not in return to give his diligence and fidelity their proper reward. Islam? Surely Allah speaks the truth to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Raleigh. That section right there helps to put the proper stratification back in society. Because we've forgotten, the various different roles that come with society. Right? It's a question I often ask Moors, especially in the current political era. Are you ready to rule again? Right? With all this going on right now, there's a strong possibility being that the current president has so much support. There's a possibility that he could win a second time. Right? Now, looking at that as a possibility, what do you think the climate is going to be over the, if he gets 4 more years? What type of, bills will he sign into law? Right? Will there be 4 against the Asiatics? This is rhetorical, right? But these are just things to think about, right? However, we know we're prophetic people, and we know there's certain prophecies that are made, right? And his very being there, there's certain prophecies you know what I'm saying, unfolding. But, you know, the question I like to put out is that, are you ready to rule again? Because again, this particular administration is violating every aspect of the section we just read, relative to master and servant, right? And that being the case, we have to get ready because no one who violates the principles of power will benefit from having power alone, right? And that being the case, you have to get ready to take your proper place in the affairs of men and women. Islam wars?
Islam.
You know, and it's something we have to groom ourselves for because we weren't raised in it. You know what I'm saying?
Islam.
We were raised as Negroes, blacks, and colors, and Ethiopians, right? So that being the case, you know, the word Ethiopian, according to what the Prophet taught us, means something divided, right? So, you know, we have to, you know, shake off those cumbrous shackles of slavery and the principles that deluded them and come into our principles and be ourselves, our true selves, and no one else. When the Prophet says, be yourself and no one else, that's something that when Asiatics hear, they think, well, I'm going to just do me. The them that they grew up with. That's not what he was talking about, because if that was the case, he wouldn't have to tell you that.
Right.
And he wouldn't have to camelback that with, learn to love instead of hate. Right? Not just love instead of hate. Learn to. I mean, you got to study it. Right? That means he knew that it was easier for us to be hateful than to love one another. Right? And that's the state he found us in. Like, you know, the Prophet says, you know, if you hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the Prophet or the violated divine covenant of the Moorish movement, you will receive your reward from Allah for the unjust deeds. Then he talks about those that, you know, if you hold these malicious feelings, turn in your card and button, cease wearing your turban and fez, and return to the state where Allah the Prophet found you. And what was the state that he found us in? Now, if you look at what's going on right now, it's an extension of that same state that he found us in. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, there's certain actions, you know, the lieutenant and I talked about this, like, you know, years ago. There are certain actions and what the Prophet brought in his laws that constitute specific actions or specific acts. Remember that? There's certain things that you do that it falls directly under a specific law. You understand what I'm saying? You know, like if you were to falsely accuse your brother or sister, that's a specific act. Because the Prophet tells you not to falsely accuse your brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm your brother or sister, because Allah is love. Islam? Right? So if you do that, if you find yourself guilty of that, there's a specific response to that that has to happen. You understand what I'm saying? You know, and these laws are put in place, you know, to correct us. So we can correct ourselves and be better Moorish Americans. You know, but you can't lie to the world. You know, the world knows who we are. You know, back to Moorish America. Remember today, I was on post, so I didn't get a chance to really interact too much with the people. But just, you know, when you're on post, like these brothers that are on post now, they don't miss nothing. They see and hear everything. And it's the same thing. I had a chance to see various different groups of, you know, let's say Chinese, Japanese, so on and so forth, walking up to the Moors and asking them, well, who are you? What are you? May I take a picture? Bowing, getting out the way, and smiling, and like exuberant to see them. They know who you are. If they ask you who you are, it's not for them. It's to see if you know. Islam. When we were walking up, going towards Conferences Hall, we were in the front. It was Grand Sheik Hopkins Bey, Brother Sheik Heru Ranesi-El, myself, and Sheik Webb Bey. And as we were walking, we walked past some Europeans. We kind of met up, you know, in the intersection, and they stopped for us. And there was maybe about 30 of them. And one European female, she was like, "Excuse me, I don't recognize the flag. What out of everything? It's fezzes, it's turbans, it's why the flag? Why did you zoom in on the flag?" You understand what I'm saying? So the whole thing, these are tests to see if we know, right? Because again, once you proclaim a particular thing, now they're going to watch you to see if you're really that. Right. That's the test, right? Not that of you being able to regurgitate it verbally. That means nothing. In a world of international law, that means nothing amongst the affairs of men. Because like I said, when the UN gets together and all those nations get together, they're not talking about their histories. They're talking about how they can do business together. They're talking about sanctions and war and solving beef and dispute. That's what takes place in the affairs of men, not proving you're right. Has nothing to do with it. Islam? All right? So, you know, again, we have to give honors to our Prophet, noble duality, because again, you know, the highest of honors to our Prophet. Because without him, if you remove the Prophet, we're right back to where even Marcus Garvey found us. Because Marcus Garvey, as honorable as this brother was, he knew the constraints on his mission because it wasn't his duty to return the nationality. It wasn't his duty to return the flag. That's why he gave you a banner. The red, black, and green is a banner as a placeholder to remind you that you were supposed to have a flag and it's coming. The one that's coming after me, he's going to get it. Islam, he demonstrated everything he did in the business realm to show us that we're supposed to be engaged in business and not just domestic but international while he bought the ships. Right? So this is, the importance of our movement and our mission. And this movement and mission means nothing if we don't pass it on to the next generation. You understand what I'm saying? If we don't, like if you get it and you hoard it, like the Prophet used to term in our Quran, your selfish selves. You know what I'm saying? Like he knew us very well. We have a tendency to memorize all this stuff and just keep it, just so you can beat people upside the head. Mm-hmm. That's us. That's who we are. But if you don't take it, I know, ones who claim to be Moorish Americans that won't give it to their children. Won't give it to their children. They fez, turban, every event, stuff like that. But when you meet their children, they're the exact opposite of everything that they are. And how does that happen? Like, what part of the game is that? Like, how does that happen? Right? But the reality is, we gotta, have, Moorish American Muslim men, women, and children. Why the Prophet in Acts 7 says, husband, you must. He gives us $7. Wife, you must. He gives us $7. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, be industrious, and be a part of uplifting fallen humanity. You know what I'm saying? He gives, duties for every gender and the children that are under those particular genders, right? So we have to keep that in mind. I'm very honored, this evening that we'll be issuing a nationality card to a baby. While we were at Moorish American Remembrance Day, there was a banquet held afterwards, and one of the sheiks called up. It was a couple, the Gibbs-Ills Islam, of a Moorish American family out of Washington D.C. They just had a baby, beautiful little baby, and they called them up front, and they issued their card, issued the baby's card. They were already members of Moorish America, but they issued the baby the card because, again, the baby was born with a nationality. You see what I'm saying? The baby was born in a state not having to worry about being Negro, Black, and colored. Not even having to worry about hearing those names and principles in the household. You see? And the card, even though the baby can't read yet, maybe he can, I don't know, Moorish American children. But the point is that the card exists as a symbolic right. Let me just go to something real quick. Y'all all right, Morris? Wow. Praise Allah. Right? Chapter 4, Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It said, let's go to instruction 14, chapter 4. Chapter 4, instruction 14. Say Islam, are you there? Praise Allah. It says, men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead. The man who stands upon the corners of the paths and points the way, but does not go, is just a pointer. And a block of wood can do the same. The teacher treads the way. On every span of ground, he leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see and be assured that he, their master, went that way. Men comprehend the inner life by what they see and do. They come to Allah through ceremonies and forms. And so, when they would make men know that sins are washed away by purity in life, a right symbolic may be introduced. And that's the concept of issuing a nationality card to an infant, right? By demonstrating the fact of purity in life, right? By demonstrating the fact that their parents can, trace the baby back through memories, through whether it's pictures or whatever, and say, see, when you were younger, you have no excuse for acting that way that you see out there because this is what you were raised as from an infant. Islam? All right? Let me go 2 more verses. It says, in water wash the bodies of people who will turn away from sins and strive for purity in life. The rite of cleansing is a preparation rite, and they who thus are cleansed comprise the temple of purity, right? And this is what the Prophet wanted for us, right? So when people think of Moorish Science Temple of America, they think like the dwelling, right? But this is the temple. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep this pure, then love can manifest itself. right? And purity leads the way. For all the things that you want to do, it starts with purity. If you don't have purity in life, you're conflicted about yourself, and how you're living, and all this time. I've been there. I've definitely been there, right? But then you'll find yourself when you make adjustments and fine tune your life to get closer to the message, right? Then you start seeing things open up, and you're not as bogged down with the negativity, right? Because we were never, like I said, raised in the proper way to go, right? So when we start the infants off, the children off, right, with a proper, footing of nationality and divine creed, they have no choice but to skyrocket through the universe. Islam was, all right?
Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar.